You're paying for this crap. You could go nuclear and say, I'm not paying for it. Get a job in the kitchen. Kids are every bit as entitled as Netanyahu. You know, what? Work for it? But you can do that. And sometimes you have to do that. And we've reached the point where I think we have to do it because the cost to the United States is profound.
Tucker Carlson has gone full based. I wouldn't say full base. He's gone pretty base. We are the only full base people on this channel, but he's gone pretty base. Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty base. And considering how close they are to the uppermost echelons of power in the United States, I think that's a pretty good thing. Tucker Carlson had Marjorie Taylor Greene on his podcast yesterday. One of the big things that they discussed was Marjorie Taylor Greene's effort to cut aid to Israel. And not just to Israel, but Ukraine, Egypt, basically any country that's receiving a hefty amount of U.S. military aid at the moment. I fully support that. I fully support that, by the way. So let's take a listen and break down what's going on, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is being attacked right now for saying that we need to defund Israel. Tucker Carlson is also being attacked right now for a number of reasons. His comments about Charlie Kirk, his comments at Charlie Kirk's funeral, his general attitude towards the state of Israel and Netanyahu himself. So this is just pure content. I love it. The Zionists are freaking out. Let's break it down.
We're at a pivot point where the people who cheered on the wars in, name the countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, against the Houthis, whoever they are, those people are...
Bro, don't be casting shade at my boys in Yemen. Why is he throwing shade at Yemen like that? They shut down the whole Red Sea. They barely have any military equipment. They shut down the whole Red Sea, and he's casting shade at them.
Are poised to seem to be to take over the Republican Party. I thought the whole point of Trump's ascendance was to change the party to make it consistent with what Republican voters, and not just Republican voters, lots of Democrats switched over to vote for Trump because they wanted those 5 pillars. And all of a sudden, the people who've for generations wrecked this country seem on the verge of stealing the MAGA copyright, slapping it on their own polo shirts, and running the Republican Party. How is this happening?
I have no idea, but it's what they always do. It's what they did in his first term, and now we're watching it unfold again, and it is disgusting, and people are pissed. I'm talking about pissed. Everyone I'm talking to at home is going, hold on now. Why are we considered hateful and anti-Semitic if we don't want to pay for Israel's wars constantly? That doesn't make us...
I actually think that Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to run for president. I know it sounds crazy, but I do think that she might be... I don't mean like in 20 years. I mean like next election cycle, Senate, president, something like that. The way she's talking right now, the way she's going on, even more liberal outlets. She went on like PBS, CBS, something like one of the morning shows in DC. She went on, she's been on the Young Turks quite a bit with Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, talking about how her her constituents are talking about how they need cheaper Medicare, healthcare. You got this like quote unquote extremely far right wing conservative who is seemingly outflanking most of the Democrats to their left on the question of healthcare, which is very interesting. I think that she's trying to position herself right now.
Anti-Semitic and hateful. We want our money to stay here at home, because you want to know something? People are hurting here at home.
Oh, I know.
Food prices are high, rent is high, home prices are ridiculously high, cars are high, auto insurance, home insurance, health insurance is insane. Energy prices are high. I can tell you that in my own electric bills. They're much more expensive than they were even a year ago. The Democrats destroyed our economy, absolutely murdered us with high inflation, and their absolute failures for 4 years. But here now, it should be the focus. The biggest focus from Republicans in Washington, D.C. and the Trump administration, the people that get to have these jobs, Tucker, because people like me worked my ass off and spent millions of dollars fighting to get Donald Trump elected. Well, those people that get to have their hoity-toity jobs in the White House, they should be grateful to people like me, not and Mark Levin and all these other people. They shouldn't be putting me down. I helped put that man there because I never backed away from him and I never backed down. I believe in what he wants to do for this country. But what we have going on right now, I mean, seriously, look at it. It's a revolving door at the White House, a revolving door of foreign leaders and prime ministers and
that is so true. It's like, why are we bringing all these people into the White House? Why was Mark Rutte in the White House today? NATO Secretary General. They literally, like, can't Trump just do a press briefing without getting sucked off by some random world leader calling him daddy or something?
Presidents, all with their hands out, demanding money and
Yo, shout out to those of you sending in the super chats. I'll react to them at the end of the story.
Demanding attention and demanding America do this. I mean, let's take, for example, this $40 billion bailout for Argentina. That's probably one of the grossest things I've ever seen. And I have no idea who is telling our great president, our America First president, that this is a good idea. Because it's a punch in the gut to all of our American cattle ranchers, and they are furious and rightfully so.
True. Fuck Malay. You know what was hilarious about that whole thing? So the U.S. bailed Argentina because Argentina was supposed to be this economic miracle after being indebted to the IMF, like, 12 gajillion dollars. IMF held debt over Argentina. Elon Musk, Tucker, Donald Trump Jr., Trump, they all celebrated Malay, saying, like, he's going to come in and be a libertarian and fix the whole world. And now the Argentinian peso, when stacked up against the dollar, is at, like, its lowest point since the 90s or something, maybe in history. You've got massive inflation in Argentina. Argentina sent a good chunk of their gold supply on British Airways jets to UK banksters, the banking mafia of the United Kingdom, City of London. You've got even larger debts to the IMF now in Argentina, and they're facing such an economic crisis that the U.S. had to, quote unquote, bail them out with $40 billion. And what did Argentina do in return? Did they say, okay, well, U.S., anything you want, we'll give you? Argentina turned around and said that they're going to start selling soybeans to China, which is because, the tariff war. They're selling soybeans to China, which is undercutting U.S. farmers. They're selling soybeans at a cheaper price to the Chinese. Chinese are buying them from them instead of from us now. And you have to question the sanity of our leaders for giving $40 billion to this idiot and who dresses up like in super libertarian Superman outfits as the president of Argentina as his country's crumbling before his eyes. And he's going around and selling cheap goods to China in the middle of a tariff war. Now, personally, I don't have any problem with the Argentinian leader having business or trade with China. I think it's a good thing because he came in talking a whole lot of smoke at China. He was very anti-China when he was running for president of Argentina. But it's just a principle thing. If we're giving you $40 billion, why are you fucking us over? I guess in the eyes of the U.S. Treasury, that would be.
So, and at the same time, I can't think of another country that's further away from the United States of America than Argentina. It's literally at the bottom of South America and in the Southern Hemisphere, and we're all the way up here at the top. I don't know how that's America first. But the problem, Tucker, is it's Washington, D.C. is unchangeable, absolutely unchangeable. And they have hijacked our movement, and they're taking it away from the campaign.
Okay, I fully agree with all that, but let's move on. This is the interesting part, more interesting part. The last part was interesting, but this one's even more interesting. Israel can't silence me, says Marjorie Taylor Greene. They can try to primary me, smear me, or take me out. I'll never back down, she says. I've introduced amendments to strip billions in funding to Israel and other foreign countries like Ukraine and Egypt. Based. The American people see through the lies. We're putting America first again. Let's take a listen to this short clip.
This isn't about Jewish people. This is about the government of Israel. This is about their military. And this is about them demanding, nonstop demanding, America, pay attention to Israel, do what Israel wants, fight Israel's wars, and pay for them. And if you don't, then we're going to come after anyone and everyone that gets in the way of that. And if you're wondering why people are talking about primarying me, well, it's because I don't take any money from AIPAC. I've called for AIPAC to be registered under FARA. I've introduced amendments to defund all of our American tax dollars from going to Israel every single year, billions and billions of dollars every single year. But I've also done that for a slew of other countries. It's not just Israel. It's a whole bunch of other countries, Egypt, Ukraine, you name it. I'm just like, enough of the foreign aid. But if you're willing to step out and you're actually to say, hey, we're not MAGA, we're MAGA.
What? Oh, what'd she just say? Wait.
MAGA? Hey, we're not MAGA.
What?
MAGA?
Am I hearing this correctly?
Actually to say, hey, we're not MAGA, we're MAGA. And there's a major difference there. Then there is a group of people that come at you with everything.
Oh, she's saying that make Israel great again. Okay.
They have.
Isn't it MAGA or MAGA?
And that's what they're doing. They've got.
She just went with the hard M. She went with the hard M out here. Marjorie Taylor Greene with the hard M. She ain't one of those MAGAs. She ain't one of them. She said, we are not MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Getting more base by the day.
Bots attached to my account that load my comment sections with ridiculous lies. They've got paid social media influencers that literally get paid by Israel or by Israel-aligned donors to attack me constantly every single day. But let me tell you something, Tucker. People are too smart nowadays, and that's what's great. People have had it, and I think they learned a lot of lessons through COVID. They learned how to see through the lies and read through the propaganda. And there may be this like little flurry of attack on me that exists on X, but out in the real world, that's.
Keep in mind, like, this is literally grounds for her to never be allowed to show her face in politics again, according to the ADL and AIPAC and J Street, the Zionist lobby. Like, if we, after the next, maybe not the next election cycle, but the one after that, like, if we never see Marjorie Taylor Greene again, it's because of this. If something bad happens to Marjorie Taylor Greene, also because of this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I hope she's got very good security around her. I say the same thing for Tucker, although I think he's a guy that probably defends himself. But this is like a big no-no. You look at who's the Cori Bush? I think Cori Bush just said that like Palestinians are humans or something, and they spent like $100 million against her in a congressional campaign where I don't even know what district she represents, Cori Bush. And they spent like $100 million attacking her and forcing her out of office because she said Palestinians are humans. She wasn't even going as hard as Marjorie Taylor Greene here. But anyways, so, Tucker has really, something is broken, Tucker. I don't know what it is, but he is done with the bullshit from Israel, from the Zionists. And, you know, the Zionists were really losing their minds over Tucker Carlson. First of all, what he said about Charlie Kirk and Charlie's relationship with Israel. Tucker Carlson was out there and he was confirming what Candace Owens was saying, that Charlie's relationship with Israel soured, that Charlie wrote that letter to Netanyahu. I mean, if you read the letter, the whole letter is basically saying, like, look, Netanyahu, if you want us to continue being your pawns in the U.S. and continue being your propaganda puppets, your Hasbara agents, if you want to continue plugging our brains into the Hasbara mega AI super chip computer and, giving us these Ben Shapiro talking points, you can go fuck yourself. That's basically what the letter had to say to Netanyahu. It was obviously far more respectful than that because, Charlie Kirk had previously, been friends with the state of Israel for his entire career. And he was writing a letter to Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, someone who could have him targeted if he wanted to. He said that he feared for his life as a result of his, his break in relations with the Zionists and the Zionist donors that Netanyahu's friends with. So he wrote this letter, albeit in a relatively respectful tone, but that's basically what he said. Tucker Carlson, he confirmed that this was all happening. He confirmed that Zionist donors were attacking Charlie vociferously, that they were threatening Charlie, that Charlie said that he didn't like Netanyahu. Netanyahu was a bully. He told the story about how Charlie went to the White House in the Oval Office and told Trump not to go to war with Iran. So Zionists were really upset with Tucker Carlson, and they were even more upset when Tucker spoke at Charlie Kirk's memorial or his funeral. They were upset when Tucker was allowed onto the Charlie Kirk show to, in memorial of Charlie Kirk. They did a few shows. And 2 days ago or last night, Tucker Carlson was back at the Turning Point USA event, I believe in Indiana. So they told it, all these Zionists, all these, Zionist conservatives, the Laura Loomers, the people who they break blood vessels in their eyes from tweeting angrily, that's what Laura Loomer said happened to her because she was so mad at anti-Zionists online that she broke blood vessels in her eyes. Keep in mind, she's also an informal advisor to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. How she got that job, I don't know. I don't know what qualifies her for that position, but They all tried to cancel Tucker, make it seem like TPUSA hated him, that he was lying about Charlie, he was lying about TPUSA. But guess what happened last night? Tucker Carlson spoke to a sold-out crowd at a TPUSA event. Turns out conservatives, regular Americans, they don't hate Tucker Carlson, and they actually approve and applaud what he has to say, even if he says stuff like this right here.
I also refer to common sense when I say that no man can serve two masters. It's not possible.
No man can serve two masters. There's but one God above me.
I only have one wife for that reason. You say to your wife, I'm going to take another wife, but I'm going to love you just as much. Nothing's going to change. My wife's going to look at me like, no, it's one wife. Because you can only really pledge your loyalty to one person or one country. That's just a fact. And there's also a sense, and this is relevant to me, and I know you're speaking about Israel, but it's not just Israel, to be honest. I think it's a huge problem. I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately.
Says you can't serve two countries. You can't have, this situation. You cannot serve in a foreign military. I agree with that.
There are a lot of Americans who've served in the IDF. They should lose their citizenship. There's a lot of Americans who've served in Ukraine, and they should lose their citizenship. You can't fight for another country.
It seems as though the TPUSA crowd is not as unhappy as Zionists want you to believe with Tucker Carlson saying this.
And remain an American, period. Obviously. I mean, it's like not even, it's so funny how all of us get cowed into being like, oh, that's hate speech. No, it's not. You don't hear hate in my voice because there isn't any. It's just an obvious recognition of the truth. But there's a more insidious thing, and I say it's not just Israel. I'm not just trying to give myself cover. I'm being honest. There are a ton of countries that offer citizenship, actually. some of which I love. I have been offered citizenship in a couple different countries that I really like, and I thought about it. And then I thought, no, there's something about being lashed to the mast. Like, everyone can see that America's in trouble, the demographic trends are really bad, and the country's decaying and cities are falling apart. So you're like, oh wow, you know, maybe I should flee. And then I'm like, my ancestors are from here. My parents are buried right across from my kitchen. I'm staying here. And the second you make that decision in your head, like, I don't care what happens to America, I will be here, it totally changes your attitude. You're like, I don't even care, it's my country. And they've been here for so long and fought in all of these wars. My ancestors, and I'm sure yours, would be totally shocked by some of the conversations. Foreign flags in the Congress? Are you joking? Get out. And so, no, once you decide you're all in on your country, it really changes the way you approach everything. And by the way, it should be the baseline requirement.
I don't know why Tucker's painted as some, like, anti-American by Zionists. First of all, the Zionists are the anti-Americans. They're literally doing everything that they say in service of a foreign nation. Tucker sees clear problems with America. Yes, even under the Trump administration. Go figure. And he's calling that out and saying we need to fix these problems to be better. Being critical of America so it gets better is not being anti-American. That's being pro-American. It's so simple, but you get these like 40 IQ logic, 5D chess logic arguments online from Zionists. Well, Tucker is criticizing the Trump administration for not having a peace with different countries and not, regulating the ceasefire. Therefore, he's anti-American. No, actually.
You shouldn't be allowed to serve in government if you're not a U.S. citizen or you're a dual citizen. Are you joking? Of course not. And I would love to know what the justification is. And of course, there isn't one, which is why they're allowed to just write you off as some sort of like freak, some internet freak, hater, Nazi, whatever. No, I'm not. Just an American who loves my country, and I think it's fair to demand that the people running my country love it every bit as much as I do.
Wow, clearly the TPUSA crowd is very upset with that. You could hear it in their overwhelming boos to what Tucker Carlson had to say. Laura Loomer was very correct. But it wasn't just that. There was also this short clip. This is the last clip I'm going to show you. Tucker Carlson calling for the defunding of Israel.
We're still giving a shit ton of money to like Israel and Ukraine. Nothing is happening. The war's not stopped. He promised it'd be done in a day, and it's, I don't know, how many months?
Americans should put no country before America. American interests come first. That's not a
very upset TPUSA crowd. Laura Loomer proven right again.
Crazy idea. No pointless wars, period. And by pointless, I mean wars fought on behalf of an ideology or another nation are totally unacceptable. They weaken this country. You're paying for this crap. You could go nuclear and say, I'm not paying for it. Get a job in the kitchen. Kids are every bit as entitled as Netanyahu. What? Work for it? But you can do that. And sometimes you have to do that. And we've reached the point where I think we have to do it because the cost to the United States is profound.
Well, one can only dream that Donald Trump, mends his relationship with Tucker Carlson and decides to listen to the truth that is spilling out of his mouth with each and every speech that he gives, because America would be in a much better place and the American people would be much more supportive of Donald Trump. He would have very high approval ratings. I mean, look at this crowd at TPUSA event. Completely packed, sold out. But if you look in the comment section of that video that TPUSA posted, Tucker Carlson speaking, there's just a bunch of Zionists, bunch of people that probably live in Tel Aviv being like, this is so disgusting that Tucker Carlson is allowed to participate in a TPUSA sanctioned event. All TPUSA people hate him. This is disgusting. The most out of touch people with America on the face of the planet are not living even in Kiev. It's those living in Tel Aviv.